Good evening. If you're here, maybe you're looking for rest, or maybe you're just curious what sleep used to look like 700 years ago. Tonight we won't talk about war or kings or castles. We'll talk about something smaller, a village, a girl, a wedding night, and all the things that came before it: shame, silence, and survival. So settle in, let the room go dim, and if there's a blanket nearby, pull it close, because where we're going is soft but not safe. Let's begin. Tonight isn't the wedding night, not yet, but it's close enough to make your skin itch. The house is quiet now, if you don't count the creaking roof and the goat snoring beside the hearth. Your little brother's curled up like a sack of potatoes. Your mother's muttering prayers in her sleep. And your father, still at the ale house, probably arguing over how many chickens you're worth. You sit by the fire, legs crossed on a rough wool blanket, twisting a loose thread on your shift. It's your best one. And by best, I mean it has fewer holes than the others. The candle flickers beside you, tallow and smoke. It makes the shadows twitch. You watch them dance on the walls, and for a moment, you let yourself believe you're somewhere else. Someone else. Not just a girl promised to the miller's son, but the truth smells like boiled cabbage, stale sweat, and cheap wax. The truth is this: tomorrow you'll marry a boy with flour-stained fingers in a family who owns the meadow your father can't afford to lose. You've spoken to him, what, twice? Once when you tripped in front of his cart, and once when he handed you a sack of barley and didn't say a word. Still, the deal is done. The priest knows, the neighbors know, the goat knows, and you've only just begun to understand what it means. In this village, marriage is not a choice. It's a transaction wrapped in ribbons. It's a land swap disguised as a love story. And the bride? She's the receipt. Your dowry's been weighed and haggled: 2 hens, a chipped pot, a bolt of rough cloth, and 1 wobbly stool that your father swears is worth more than it looks. You saw the miller roll his eyes. They say you're lucky. Lucky he didn't ask for your older cousin instead. Lucky he's not a widow twice over. Lucky he still has all his teeth. Funny how luck always looks like settling. You shift closer to the fire, trying to chase warmth. But it's not the cold that keeps you awake. It's the waiting. Because you've heard the whispers, the stories from the bakehouse, the gossip by the well, about the bedding ceremony, and about the villagers watching, and about the blood. One girl said she bit her own tongue just to have something red to show. You thought she was joking. Now, you're not so sure. It's strange, isn't it? How you can live your whole life in one cottage, one village, one dirt path, and still not know what's coming for you? Your mother never explained what happens after the vows. She talks of duty, of God, of obedience. She won't meet your eyes. Your sister asked if you'll get a crown. You said yes. You didn't say it'd be made of thorns. The candle's almost gone now. Just a stub of wax and a sputtering wick. You lean back, let your head rest against the cool wall, and close your eyes. The village is quiet, but you know it won't stay that way. Tomorrow the bells will ring, the stew will boil, the men will laugh, and you will become a wife. Not because you fell in love, not because you're ready, but because you were born a girl. Sleep now if you can. Tomorrow they'll ask for your smile. They won't ask if it's real. You step outside before the sun does. The sky is still the color of ash, and the village lies quiet, but not asleep. It never really sleeps. Not when you're the girl getting married. The well creaks somewhere nearby. A dog barks once, then falls silent again. You hug your arms around yourself, not for warmth, but to hold in the nerves. Because even now, before the bells, before the vows, you know you're being watched, not openly, not yet, but behind every shutter, Every wooden slat and smoke hole, someone's peering out. Old women with knotted fingers, children whispering from straw lofts, men who'll comment on your dowry as though they had a stake in it. And in a way, they do. Marriage here isn't just between two families, it's between you and the entire village. They've fed you, taught you, watched you grow. And now they feel entitled to your wedding night like it's the season finale of a show they helped write. You pass the bakehouse and catch the scent of bread, but the warmth doesn't reach you. A woman steps out, pretends not to notice you, then leans toward the next door. Two heads huddle, whisper, glance your way. You're not paranoid, they're just that obvious. You stop by the well, same as yesterday, same as every day, but today you feel it in your bones. Every move you make has a witness. You adjust your shift, smooth your hair, pretend you don't care. The well reflects your face, not clean, not perfect, but young, nervous, real. You wonder if the village will remember this girl, or just the woman they expect you to become by nightfall. Because here, privacy doesn't exist. Not for daughters, not for brides. You've seen it before. Girls married last season, now with silent eyes and heavier hands. You watch them smile through stew bowls and swollen ankles. You heard how quickly their names changed from sweet to lazy, depending on how fast they bled, birthed, and baked. The village sees everything, but it forgives little. And you're next in line. A rooster crows. Somewhere a shutter slams. The village is waking up, and with it comes the eyes. Hundreds of them, measuring, weighing, watching how you walk, whether your knees shake, whether your braid is neat enough to signal wife material. You turn back toward the cottage, and though you feel 30 stares on your back, no one says a word. The silence here is louder than gossip. And it says this: don't trip, don't cry, don't hope. Because this village, the one that fed you, clothed you, and sang at your first steps, will be the same one to judge your last. You've seen him maybe a dozen times, once at the market, holding a sack of flour like it might punch him in the gut. Once fixing a wagon wheel, swearing under his breath at a nail. And once, just once, he looked at you, not long enough to read your face, but long enough to leave a question behind. His name is Thomas, or maybe it's Tom. You're not sure. The village calls him the miller's boy, like he's a tool, not a person. He's older than you, not by much. Maybe 3 winters, maybe 5. He has strong hands, hands that work, hands that could hurt, but you don't know if he ever has. And that not knowing might be the worst part. People say things. Your cousin whispered once that he drinks too much at the feast days. Your mother says that's just how men are, as if it's a fact, like the sun rising or roofs leaking. The old woman at the well says his father has a sharp tongue, and sharp tongues tend to sharpen fists too. But no one talks about his kindness, or his mind, or whether he likes dogs, or what he dreams about when he's not grinding barley into dust. No one asks if he's kind. They only ask if he's sturdy, like a horse or a cart. Last week he passed by your cottage with a load of flour on his shoulder. You were sweeping the steps. He didn't say a word, just glanced your way, like a man noticing fog on a window. That was your fiancé. That was your future. A man who looked at you like a chore. You're told it doesn't matter. That love comes later, if at all, that you'll learn each other in time. But you've watched the women in your village, the way they flinch when their husbands shout, the way they smile too quickly, laugh too softly, always glancing over their shoulders. You've seen love replaced by duty, by survival, by silence. Still, sometimes you wonder, what if he's as scared as you are? What if he hates this arrangement too? Maybe he's lying in his own bed right now, staring at the ceiling, thinking about a girl he barely knows, wondering what she smells like when she's not carrying firewood. Maybe he wants to run. Maybe he won't touch you at all. Maybe he'll try. It's strange, isn't it? You're marrying a person, but all you know is his shadow. A boy with flour on his clothes and a name you say quietly, like a secret you're not sure you want to learn. They say marriage makes two people one, but right now it feels more like a collision, and you're not sure which parts of you will survive the impact. They don't ask if you love him, not your mother, not the priest, not even yourself. Because here, love isn't part of the equation. It's not even in the margins. Marriage in this village is land and labor, a handshake between two fathers, a goat, a sack of oats, and a daughter. Love is for songs, for drunk nights around the fire, for widows with nothing left to lose, but not for brides, not for you. When you were younger, you used to dream about love. You heard the stories, the ones with knights and roses, women with long hair and soft voices, men who waited years for a single kiss. But even then, part of you knew better. You knew that real life didn't have silk sheets or moonlit promises. It had patchy roofs, chapped hands, and bargains made over soup. Your mother loved your father once. She said so once, in a whisper. Back when he brought her a pair of shoes that actually fit. But that was before the third child, before the bad harvest, before his silences got longer than his sentences. Now she kisses him on the cheek like she's clocking him for work. And maybe she is. You saw a girl once, Elsa from the far end of the village, crying behind the bakehouse, said she was in love with someone else, said she begged her father. Didn't matter, she married the man with 5 pigs and a barn that didn't leak. She doesn't cry anymore, not where people can see. So no, love doesn't live here, not in this village, not in this marriage. It's something you leave behind when the veil goes on, like your childhood, your name, and the right to choose who touches your skin. You don't hate the boy, you barely know him enough for that, but you hate the idea that your body was bartered, that your silence was signed in advance, that tomorrow they'll call you wife like it's a reward, when it feels more like a sentence. And maybe love doesn't belong here, because love asks questions, and this village only wants answers. Did she bleed? Did she obey? Did she bear sons? Love's too slow for that, too soft, too inconvenient. So you stop hoping for it, not because you're bitter, but because you're practical. Like everyone else, you don't need to ask what people are saying. You already know. It's in the way they glance at you. Too long, too quick, too sideways to be kind. It's in the way the laughter pauses when you walk by. In the way conversations shift from weather to weddings like it's all one big storm anyway. The village talks. It always talks. It's what it does best. And this week, the subject is you. She's marrying the miller's boy. Did you hear about the dowry? Not much, just some hens and that crooked stool. Pity, pretty girl, but not much sense. You carry those words like splinters, invisible but sharp. By the well, 2 old women whisper through toothless grins. One claims your hips are too narrow. The other bets you'll cry on the wedding night. You pass the baker's son. He winks, not because he's cruel, but because he's been raised to think you're now something available. Your body isn't yours anymore. It's a village topic, a conversation piece, a bet. There's talk about your mother too, how she's pushing this marriage hard, how she's not what she used to be, how she's lucky to have found a match at all for that girl. You hear every word, even when they pretend to whisper, especially then. You wonder if this is what fame feels like. Not the kind with songs and stages, the kind where every step you take is someone else's entertainment. Even your silence is loud. Even your sighs get rephrased by the next door neighbor before sunset. They talk about your dress, your posture, your walk. They talk about how you'll handle the night with curiosity, with judgment, with something like glee, as if your fear is a play they've already seen. But this time, it's live. You try to laugh it off. Tell yourself it's always been this way. It'll pass. But gossip here clings, like smoke in wool, like mud in your boots, like shame in your belly. So you keep your head down, speak less, smile when you must. Because in this village, you can't stop the talking, but you can learn how to disappear inside it. Here's no gold, no pearls, no embroidered veil, no chest of silks lined with lavender. Your dowry is 2 chickens, a chipped iron pot, 1 bolt of coarse cloth, and a stool with a wobble no one's been able to fix. And still, it's everything your family has. Your father says the chickens are healthy. He holds them up by the feet like trophies. Your mother says the pot is honest. She means it has no holes. You stand there watching them haggle like it's the harvest market. But you're not the merchant, you're the goods. The miller's family wants more. A bag of barley, a sliver of your meadow. Maybe the stool in the pot. Your father shouts. Your mother winces. The deal gets tense. You wonder if they'll call the whole thing off. You almost hope they do, but they won't. Because in this village, the dowry isn't just tradition, it's leverage. It's proof your family is serious. And without it, you're not a bride, you're a burden. No one asks how that feels. How it feels to be priced like grain. How it feels to watch your value reduced to livestock and fabric, while you try not to cry in front of the neighbors. You hear them whisper later, "She's not worth much, but at least she's quiet. At least she's got all her teeth. At least she bleeds." Would it's always at least, never enough, never beautiful, never smart, just not bad enough to reject. That night you sit by the fire. Your father mutters about what the miller demanded. Your mother snaps at your sister for giggling. And you stare at the chickens. You raised them from hatchlings. You fed them, named them. Now they're going with you to pay for you. You wonder if they'll be eaten before the week is out, or if they'll lay eggs in the new household like nothing's changed. Unlike you, the stool creaks. The pot rests beside your bundle of clothes, and you think about everything you're bringing into that house. 1 girl, 2 chickens, and a silence you've practiced since you were 12. That's the cost. And tomorrow someone else will decide if it was a good bargain. It's not new. It belonged to your cousin. She married 2 winters ago, then died in childbirth the next spring. They don't talk about her anymore. Just the dress. It's blue, faded, like a sky that forgot how to shine. Wool, heavy, itchy, too long in the sleeves, too short in the waist. You try to adjust it, but the seams don't care. The dress was made for a different body and a different story. Your mother holds it up with pride, like she stitched it herself. Like it means you're ready. You try to smile, you fail. You slip it on behind a screen of woven sticks while your sister giggles and hands you a pin. She says you look like a lady in a storybook. You feel like a lie. The wool clings in all the wrong places. It smells of cedar, dust, and old sweat. There's a tear near the hem. You remember the cousin's foot getting caught in it when she walked up the church steps. They called it bad luck, but the luck was already bad long before the dress. You stare into a polished copper plate that someone's pretending is a mirror. Your face stares back, older, paler, tired. The crown of wildflowers your mother made sits uneven on your head. She says it's to keep evil spirits away. You think it's just to distract from the frayed edges. You tug at the sleeves. They hang past your wrists like guilt. Someone outside whistles. You flinch. You wonder if anyone will notice the dress doesn't fit, or if they'll just pretend it does. like they're pretending you're ready. You ask your mother, "Did it feel like this for you?" She doesn't answer, just fixes the collar, tightens the sash, and says, "Stand up straight." You do, because there's no other way to stand when the dress is too short to sit in. They say it's tradition, they say it's blessed, they say it's what girls wear. But it doesn't feel like yours. It feels like something borrowed, something bound to break, like the life you're stepping into. They say you should be clean for your wedding. Clean skin, clean thoughts, clean enough to forget who you are. So they bring out the basin, a tub barely deep enough for your knees, water warmed over a smoky hearth, a cloth that's been used for everyone. Your mother stands behind the screen, scrubbing like she's trying to erase something. She says it's tradition. She says it's sacred. It feels more like preparation. The water is cloudy. You stare at your reflection, blurry, shifting, like it doesn't want to see you either. She washes your feet with extra care. "Fertility," she whispers. You say nothing. She scrubs your arms, your back, your neck, like you're made of sin. You bite your lip when she reaches your chest. She doesn't meet your eyes. You want to say, "I'm not ready. I'm scared. Please stop." But your mouth stays shut. Because this isn't about how you feel. It's about how you look. Clean, obedient, silent. She hands you a small cake of lye soap. You know the smell. Sharp, bitter, familiar. You've used it on pigs. Now it's on your own skin. The bath ends not when you're warm, but when the water cools. She wraps you in a linen towel, not soft, not kind, just practical. You sit by the fire to dry, your hair dripping, your thoughts louder than the crackling wood. You're shivering, but it's not from the cold. Tomorrow they'll dress you in borrowed wool, walk you to a borrowed altar, lay you in a borrowed bed. But tonight, they will wash you like a lamb. And you know what happens to lambs when they're clean. The fire is roaring. The table is heavy with bread and stew and salted meat. The cups are full. The air is thick. Laughter rises like steam from boiling pots. Everyone's eating. Everyone's drinking. Everyone's celebrating, except you. You sit at the center, wearing the dress that doesn't fit, the wreath that itches your scalp, and the smile you've sewn onto your face like a badge. They toast your name like they own it. They shout blessings. They slap the groom on the back. You sip broth. You chew bread. You say nothing. The old men make jokes about the wedding night. Loud ones, crude ones. The younger ones laugh too hard. Your face burns, but no one notices. The groom drinks. A lot. His face is already red. His hands twitch when he laughs. You wonder if they'll twitch tonight. Your mother keeps looking over, mouthing smile. Your father lifts his cup to every comment, as if pride can drown guilt. A neighbor woman you barely know leans in to say, "Don't worry, it only hurts the first few times," then bites into a turkey leg like she just gave good advice. The stew is rich, but your stomach is tight. The bread is soft, but your jaw is locked. The wine is sweet, but you can't taste anything. This isn't your feast, it's theirs. You are the occasion, not the guest. Children chase each other between the tables, oblivious. Old women swap stories between mouthfuls. Men argue over oxen prices between gulps. The groom says nothing to you, just drinks, and nods, and wipes his mouth like he's counting down to something. At one point, a lute starts playing. People clap. Two drunk uncles try to dance. The room sways. You stay still, because if you move, something in you might fall out. The feast stretches into evening. The fire burns low. The wine flows faster. Someone calls for the bedding. The room cheers. Your heart does not. Tonight they'll strip the meat from bones and the veil from your body, and they'll call it joy. The music stops. The laughter slows. The room shifts. And suddenly, It's time. They call it the bedding walk. A tradition, they say. A blessing, they say. But really, it's a parade. And you are the animal led to the pen. They lift you from your seat, hands tug your arms. Someone makes a joke you don't understand, or maybe you do, and just don't want to. The air feels thicker than wool, like it's trying to hold you in place, but your feet move anyway. Down the hallway, through the door, up the stairs. The house smells of smoke, sweat, and old bread. Your pulse is in your ears. Someone throws flower petals, someone else throws barley. Your mother clasps her hands like she's praying. The groom follows behind, silent, swaying slightly from drink. Eyes dull, like he's walking into a chore. You wish he looked nervous. You wish he looked human, but he just looks ready. At the bedroom door, they pause. One man bangs on the wood and says, "Make us proud." Another woman cackles, "Don't break the bed too fast." Everyone laughs, except you. They open the door. The room is small, dim. A single candle burns on a crooked table. The sheets are thin. The floor creaks. The bed is waiting. The groom steps in first. You follow. Someone shuts the door behind you with a click. The laughter fades. Now it's just the candle. Just him. Just you. You stand there. Your hands shake. He says nothing. You wonder who'll move first. You wonder if you should. But mostly, you wonder who you are now. Because the girl who sat at that feast, she stayed in the chair. And the one standing here, she doesn't quite exist yet. They say this is the moment you become a woman, but it doesn't feel like becoming. It feels like erasing. It clicks shut. The latch falls. The laughter outside dies like a candle in wind. And suddenly, the room becomes the whole world. He doesn't speak. You don't either. You stand near the wall, still in the dress. It sticks to your skin in places it never touched before. The wool is warm from your body, but you are cold. He takes off his shoes, slowly, then his belt, then his shirt. Not with desire, not with fear, just with routine. Like he's done this before, like this is a task, and you are the task. He glances at you once, not cruel, not soft, just checking. Then he sits on the edge of the bed, waiting. You stare at the floorboards. Count the knots in the wood. 1, 2, 5, 7. You hear your own breathing. Too fast. You try to control it. Fail. He gestures. You freeze. He waits. You move. The dress comes off clumsily. The sash knots. The hem snags. You feel your skin exposed in pieces. Ankle, wrist, shoulder, throat. Each one a toll gate you pass unwillingly. No one prepared you for this. They spoke of duty, of honor, of what wives do, but not of silence this thick, or of eyes that don't see you, or of hands that don't tremble. He doesn't hit you, he doesn't curse, he just proceeds. And in some ways, that's worse. Because if it hurt out loud, you could scream, but it doesn't. It just folds you inward like a letter never meant to be opened. When it's done, he lies back, breathing heavy, already drifting towards sleep. You stare at the ceiling. It has a crack that looks like a branch. You wonder how long it's been there, and if it will fall, like you just did. No one told you this would feel like nothing, and that nothing could feel like shame. You pull the blanket up, not for warmth, for cover, because something in you just went silent forever. Morning light creeps in like a thief, soft, pale, uninvited. You haven't slept, not really. Your body rested, your mind didn't. He snores, arm across his stomach, mouth half open, satisfied. You don't hate him, but you don't know how to look at him either. The sheet is creased beneath you, stiff, cool, and near your thigh, a stain, small, red, perfectly visible. You stare at it. You don't cry. You don't feel anything really. Just watch it, like it's something that happened to someone else. Outside the door, you hear voices. Low, eager. They're waiting. Not for you, but for the sheet. You were told this would happen, that the women would come, that they'd collect it like proof, that they'd wave it like a flag. Victory. That your blood is not yours. Not anymore. You think of all the other girls. How many bled? How many didn't? How many faked it? How many were punished? You rise. Wrap the blanket around you. Gingerly lift the corner of the sheet. You fold it. You carry it. You open the door. They're there. Two women, one older, one not. They smile when they see the cloth. They nod. They say, "Good girl." You hand it over like a tax. They disappear. Behind you, the door closes again. That's it. That's the proof. Not your voice, not your fear, not your consent, just blood on cotton. And now, you're officially a wife. The sun is brighter than you want it to be. It pushes through the shutters like someone barging into a room that isn't ready to be seen. He's already up, dressed, gone. You don't know where. You don't ask. You're alone in the bed that doesn't feel like it was ever made for two. The sheets are twisted. The blanket is kicked down. The pillow smells like his sweat. You sit up, slowly, carefully, like your body forgot how to move without permission. You wrap yourself in your shift. It clings, still damp in places you don't want to name. You think of the girl you were yesterday. She wouldn't recognize this room. She wouldn't recognize you. There's no knock, no invitation. The door opens anyway. It's your mother. She walks in like this is normal, like this is breakfast. She doesn't look at your face, just your hands. Then the sheets. She nods once, satisfied. Then places a small cloth bundle on the table. Bread, salt, a boiled egg. You want to ask, what now? What happens after this? But she's already gone. So you sit on the edge of the bed, chewing food you can't taste, swallowing past the lump that hasn't moved since last night. Outside, the village sounds begin. Hooves on dirt, dogs barking, a child crying over something small and safe. You hear women laughing by the well, men shouting about fences, life continuing. But yours, it feels paused, muted, hung like a wet sheet, waiting to dry, but the sun never touches it fully. The dress from yesterday hangs on a nail, still wrinkled, still too tight. It smells like smoke and violets, like someone else's life. You wonder how long it takes to start pretending this is normal. How many mornings it takes before you stop noticing you didn't choose any of this. The morning after is not yours. It belongs to everyone else, to expectations, to gossip, to ritual. You just wake up in it, like waking up in someone else's skin. There's no ceremony for it, no bell, no oath, no contract you sign with ink and trembling hands. But it happens, quietly, permanently. You wake up and your name is no longer yours. It comes with a prefix now, his wife, his woman, his. The villagers no longer ask how you are. They ask how he treats you. Like that's the only story left to tell. Your father speaks of you in the past tense. Your mother stops calling you by your first name. Even your sister lowers her eyes a little now, as if she's looking at a statue that might tip over. You don't own the house. You don't own the animals. You don't own the food you cook or the bed you sleep in. Legally, spiritually, socially, you are part of the inventory, filed between useful and replaceable. He calls you wife, not love, not dear, just wife, like a label on a jar. You try to push back in small ways, fold the sheets your way, stir the soup different, braid your hair how you used to. But everything now has to be explained, justified, like you're managing someone else's expectations in your own skin. At market, you're invisible unless he's with you. Without him, the baker speaks slower, the butcher jokes louder, the men look longer, and you're reminded you're not you anymore. You're an extension of a man, of a marriage, of a name that was never yours. You start to forget how your voice used to sound when it wasn't asking for permission. You start to forget if you ever wanted anything just for yourself. You lie next to him at night, not in fear, but in stillness. Because even stillness is safer than wondering how to be something more than someone's possession. They told you marriage was sacred. They told you it was union, family, future. They didn't say it was a transaction, and that you were the coin. One morning he hands them to you, a small ring of iron keys. No ceremony, no explanation, just metal, cold, and suddenly, yours. You stare at them. 3 teeth of power, one for the larder, one for the chest, one for the door. Your hands close around them, not tight, just unsure. They rattle like a question you don't know how to answer. Your mother once said, when you hold the keys, you run the house. But she never said what the house would feel like. You walk to the pantry, open, check the sacks of barley, count the onions, close. You try the chest, blankets, some coin, a spare comb. All of it locked away as if the world might steal it. As if you might. You touch the 3rd key. The door, it creaks when it turns, opens with reluctance, like it's watching. You step outside, just for a second, then close it, fast, like freedom might slip in if you leave it open too long. The keys stay on your belt now. They click when you walk, tap when you sit. A sound like a whisper reminding you where you belong. Some women envy you. They say the keys mean control, that you're the mistress of the house now. But control isn't the same as choice, and doors don't make you free just because you hold the key. You begin to understand this isn't about access. It's about responsibility, guarding, measuring, proving you're trustworthy in a house that still isn't yours. You clean, you cook, you unlock, you relock. Every click a heartbeat in a rhythm you didn't write. Sometimes at night, you take the keys off your belt and hold them in your palm. Feel their weight, not heavy, not light, just exact. Like they were made to remind you what you carry and what you don't. Because no key opens your voice. No key unlocks your choices. And no key fits the version of you that still dreams of being more than this. It looks simple from outside. Stone walls, a thatched roof, 2 windows that blink when the sun passes. They say it's yours now. The house of your marriage. The place you'll make a life. But inside, there are no corners. Not really. The rooms are open. The space too narrow to hide in. Too small to escape notice. Every wall sees you. Every sound carries. Even your silence echoes. You move carefully, not because you're afraid, but because there's nowhere to go to not be seen. You try to find a spot, just 1 square of floor where you can sit and just be, but everywhere is part of something. The hearth is his space. The bed is both of yours, but mostly his. The table belongs to duty. The door belongs to the world. You try the corner by the window, but the light gives you away. It touches your face like a question you don't want to answer. You try to sit with your back to a wall, but the wall is cold. And you remember that warmth only belongs to work, not rest. There's no corner in this house where your thoughts can grow wild. No space where your body doesn't feel borrowed. You wash, you mend, you stir, you serve. Even your breathing seems scheduled. He walks in at dusk, sits down, eats, says little, asks less. You light the candle, close the shutters, lie beside him. Even sleep has no corner. Just the flat weight of hours folded over you like a blanket you can't lift. You begin to crave corners, not for hiding, not for sulking, but for owning. Just one space where your back can touch the wall and your heart can beat without apology. But this house wasn't built for that. It was built to keep things running, not to keep you safe. So you move like furniture, needed, used, never questioned. And just like the table, you stay exactly where you're put. It starts with a knock, soft, rhythmic, like someone keeping time with your pulse. You open the door. She's already smiling, wide, knowing, the midwife. She doesn't ask to come in. She steps past you like she's walked this floor 100 times. And maybe she has. In other houses, with other girls who became wives before they finished becoming themselves. She smells like herbs and wool and salt. She carries a satchel, worn leather, bulging, like it holds secrets, not tools. She sits. You stand. She pats the stool beside her. You sit. She places her hand on your belly. No question. No warning, just pressure. Warm, weighty. Anything yet? She asks. You shake your head. She nods. Not disappointed, not pleased, just confirming. She pours you a cup of something bitter, tells you to drink. For strength, for balance, for the moon in your blood. You swallow, it burns. Then she speaks of cycles, of signs, of the way the body ripens, like fruit, whether it wants to or not. She smiles as she says it, like fruit is a choice. You ask if it's always like this. She chuckles. No, child, it gets heavier. She leaves a bundle of dried leaves, a scrap of linen, a root tied with string. All will help, she says, but she doesn't say with what. Before she leaves, she touches your cheek, gently, almost like apology, but not quite. She walks out. The door closes. You're still sitting on the stool, still holding the cup, still not sure what just happened. You look down at your belly, still flat, still quiet, still your own, but maybe not for long. They say the midwife brings knowledge, but really she brings warning, wrapped in herbs and sipped through silence. You start counting days with pebbles, with scratches on wood, with glances at the moon. You don't write them down, you just feel them. Each one, a question. Did your body change today? Did your hunger shift? Did the air smell different? Is that soreness? Or just how the floor presses your feet now? You listen to your body like it's a stranger speaking a dialect you once knew. Every missed moment feels like a whisper. Every cramp, a maybe. Every quiet morning, a louder question. You don't tell him, he doesn't ask. He eats, sleeps, works, waits, in his own way, but not like you do, not with your bones. You press your hand to your belly more than you mean to. You watch for changes, not in shape, but in silence. Is it too still? Is it too soon? Or is it all just in your mind? The women by the well watch you more closely now. Their laughter dips when you walk past. Their eyes drop to your waist, then back up to your face with pretend surprise. Your mother sends herbs, more bitter than before. Your sister braids your hair slower, softer, as if trying not to tangle something inside you. The midwife passes by but doesn't stop. She nods. You nod back. No one speaks. But something is said anyway. You begin to dream of water, of things floating just beneath the surface, unseen but pulsing. You wake sweating, hand on stomach, still flat, still silent. Each morning you check the linen. You hold your breath before you look. Still clean, still no red, still waiting. And every clean cloth feels heavier than any blood ever did. One day passes, then another, then another. Still nothing. No blood, no pain, no answer. At first it feels like suspense, a quiet cliffhanger, a breath held too long. Then it turns into something else. Not relief, not joy, just pressure. He notices before he speaks. His hand lingers on your back longer. His gaze rests at your middle when he thinks you're not watching. Then one night he says it. So? Just one word, soft, but sharp enough to cut through your sleep. You nod, because that's easier than trying to say, I don't know, or I think so, or I'm afraid. The next day, your mother arrives with cloths, hand-stitched, patterned in red thread. Start preparing, she says. You don't ask, for what? Because you know. The women begin to circle, not close, not kind, just enough to see, to guess. They smile more, say your name sweeter, offer you fruit, touch your arm like you're made of glass. But all you feel is that your body has been hijacked, rewritten, by something you didn't invite, but now must carry like proof that your life has value. You watch your belly, every day, still flat, but it doesn't matter. They've already decided. You've crossed into the next role. From girl to wife to vessel, you used to bleed. Monthly, regular, reliable. It was a sign you were alive. You were still your own. Now without it, you belong even less to yourself. They say the absence of blood is a blessing, a new beginning, but you can't help but feel it's a silence that's closing in. It doesn't happen like in stories. No trumpet, no rush of tears, no moment of knowing, just a flick, like a fish turning in a pond, small, startling. You stop mid-step, mid-breath, mid-thought. You wait, still, nothing. You think you imagined it, that your stomach twitched, that it was gas, a muscle, but it didn't feel like you. It felt like someone else. You don't say anything. Not yet. You keep it quiet, like a secret between your ribs in the air. Days pass, then it happens again, stronger, wider, more certain, like a knock from the inside. You sit down fast, not from pain, from the sudden weight of being known from the inside out. You place your hand on your belly, flat, still nothing visible. But inside, something stirs. Someone. They told you about this. The quickening. The proof that the soul has arrived. That the child has chosen to live. But no one told you how loud it would feel in such a small, quiet body. It doesn't hurt, but it doesn't comfort you either. It just reminds you that from now on, your body is not just yours. The midwife comes again. This time she does knock. She asks, has it moved yet? You nod. She smiles. Not kind, not cruel, just practiced. She touches your belly, waits, says good, then leaves. You stand by the fire stirring stew, and the thing inside you kicks. You don't drop the spoon. You just stop stirring, because for the first time you realize you are now a home. And homes don't get to leave. They start talking about names before you do, before the child is even born, before you know if it's boy or girl, before you feel ready, before you're allowed to speak. His mother suggests 3, all saints, all male. She says them like prayers with the tone of a command. He likes 1, short, strong, biblical. You nod, because anything else feels like disagreement. And disagreement feels like disobedience. You think of names too, quietly, to yourself. Names with softness. Names that feel round and secret. Names you never say aloud, because they're not yours to give. They carve a name into the crib frame. They stitch it onto the swaddling cloth. They say it at dinner, as if the child is already here, as if the decision is done. No one asks you what name you'd like, not even once. You try to whisper one into the hollow of your belly at night. A different name, a secret name, just in case they hear you from inside. You wonder, if they come out with your name pressed behind their eyes, will anyone believe it? Will anyone care? You smile when they say his name. You nod when they praise the choice. You practice saying it so your lips won't betray the truth you buried there. Because in this house, words are given to you. You don't get to keep them, not even for the one you carry inside your own skin. It starts not with a scream, but with a whisper, a tug, low, deep, like something beneath the floorboards pulling on the strings of your spine. You pause, put your hand to your belly, wait, it passes, you breathe, then it comes again, harder, lower, more sure of itself. Not a question anymore, a demand. You try to walk, try to reach the stool, the door, the bed. You don't remember which came first. You only remember the floor, cold, hard, unforgiving. Voices rise, someone runs. Someone fetches the midwife. Someone boils water, though no one knows why. You try to hold on to your name, but it slips. All you are now is body, a vessel, a passage, a bridge. They lift you, spread cloth, open windows, say prayers. You don't hear them. You hear the drum beat in your bones. You feel the split before it comes. The midwife says, "Don't fight it," as if there's anything left in you that could resist. The pain isn't sharp, it's tidal. It doesn't stab, it claims. You moan, not loud, but enough to sound human. Someone wipes your brow, someone whispers, "Good girl." You want to laugh or spit or vanish, but you stay because you must. Time folds, the night disappears. The world becomes a tunnel you crawl through without your legs. Then, a wet cry, not yours. High, new, startling. They hold it up, not to you, to him, to the others, to the world. You reach out, they give it to you, briefly, still red, still slick, still screaming, and still not yours. Because the minute they name it, you feel it slip. They take it from you before your arms even learn its weight. Someone laughs, someone cries, someone says, "He has his father's eyes." You don't look, not yet. The midwife cleans. The cloth is rough, the water is cold. You lie still, empty, wider than you were before, but somehow smaller. They pass the baby around. Your husband, his mother, the priest who arrives late and leaves early. Each one lifts the child like it's a trophy, a prize, a miracle. They bless him, kiss his forehead, count his fingers, say his name, the name you didn't choose. No one asks if you want to hold him again. Not today, not yet. They say, "Rest. You've done enough. You need your strength back." As if strength ever returned once it left you. You turn your head, face the wall, breathe shallow, because deep breaths might make the tears fall faster. Later, when the house quiets, they lay him in the cradle, carved by your father, lined with linen from your sister. Everything around him is a gift, except you. You watch from the bed, eyes barely open. He squirms, snorts, wrinkles his nose. He doesn't cry, and somehow that hurts more. You want to reach out, to touch, to name him something only you know. But your arms don't move, not because they're tired, because they're unsure. He looks like someone you haven't met yet, and maybe never will. You expect screaming. That's what they said. That's what you brace for. But the nights are quiet, too quiet. The baby shifts, breathes, suckles in his sleep. You listen for danger, but there's none. Not outside, just inside. You lie on your side, facing the wall, still, because even blinking feels like betrayal to the exhaustion you were promised. No one told you how loud silence can be when you're waiting for something to go wrong. The cradle creaks, a tiny sigh escapes. You sit up, quick, instinct. But he's fine. Of course he is, just not yours, not fully. Your husband sleeps deeply, back turned, breathing steady. You envy him, not the sleep, the freedom. You light the tallow candle, soft glow, barely a flame. It flickers like your sense of self. You pace, not because the baby cries, but because you do. Inside, where no sound escapes, you think of names again, not his name, yours. Who were you before all this? Before wife? Before mother? Before silence? The cradle shifts. A whimper. Then quiet again. You don't pick him up. Not yet. Because you're still not sure if holding him will anchor you or sink you deeper. Dawn creeps in, gray and slow. The rooster cries. Someone chops wood outside. The house stirs. And you? You haven't slept. You haven't spoken. You've just survived another night that wasn't yours. It comes without warning. No cramp, no ache, no sign. Just a stain. Rust-colored, quiet. You're washing the cloths, bent by the stream, hands cold. Mind somewhere else, then you feel it. A warmness, uninvited. You freeze. Look down. See the red. Not much. Just enough. Enough to say, you're back. But not the you were hoping for. You don't tell anyone. Not the midwife. Not your husband. Not even yourself. You just change the cloth. Wash your hands longer. Stand a little straighter. The other women notice, though. They always do. They glance. They smile. They whisper. Maybe another soon. Her body remembers, as if your womb has ears and ambitions of its own. You want to shout, no, not yet, not again. But you nod, because it's easier than explaining the sound of your own dread. The bleeding continues, light, rhythmic, predictable, just like before. But it feels different now, colder, less yours. It doesn't mark freedom, it marks readiness. For another round, another stretch, another letting go. You sit by the hearth, the cradle is still, your body is not. It stirs, ticks, prepares, without asking. They say you've recovered, that your cycle is back, that nature has smiled on you. But nature doesn't smile. She bleeds. The village is buzzing. You hear it from the window. Laughter, hooves, the drum beat of wooden wheels over dust. It's the spring festival. You used to braid your hair for this. Used to save the blue ribbon. Used to laugh without checking who heard. This year no one says you can't go. He even mentions it over bread. They'll be dancing today. You nod. Smile even. Say, I might go later. But you won't. You already know that. The baby naps. The stew simmers. Your dress hangs where it always does. Clean, pressed, unworn. You sit by the fire, stir, taste, stare into nothing. The noise from the village fades, not because it stops, but because your ears stop reaching for it. You think about walking there, just to see, just to remember, but you stay. Not because of duty, not even because of fear, because you don't feel like someone who belongs in sunlight anymore. You imagine the ribbons, the cider, the boys showing off, the girls pretending not to notice. You used to be one of them. Now you watch from behind the shutters, and they don't look up. No one comes to fetch you. No one knocks. And maybe that hurts more than being forbidden. The stew boils over. You clean it. The baby cries. You lift him. He stops. You bounce. The village sings. You hum a different tune. She comes in the afternoon. Hair longer, eyes brighter. Steps lighter than yours. She brings bread, still warm, wrapped in cloth the color of wildflowers. You hug, awkwardly, like two people reenacting a memory they no longer feel. You sit. She smiles, talks about the fair, the music, the boy who asked her to dance, twice. You nod, ask questions, stir tea, but the spoon clinks louder than your laughter. She asks about the baby. You show him. She leans in, says all the right things. So small, so sweet. Looks like you, but not really. You want to ask her if she still walks to the river, if she sings when she cooks, if she remembers the night you both swore you'd never marry men who smelled like goats. But you don't, because she smells like lavender now, and freedom. She looks around the room, at the hearth, the cradle, the stitched curtains. She says, "It's cozy." You smile. You don't say, "It's a cage I decorated myself." There's a silence, not heavy, just familiar. Like the pause before someone closes a door. She checks the sky, stands, says she should go before dark, that her mother worries, that she'll come again soon. You nod, hug again, softer this time. You watch her walk down the road, hair catching the wind, back straight, unburdened. You don't cry, just breathe. A little slower, a little sadder. She didn't leave you, not really. You just stopped walking the same road. It's a small thing, a candle, half used. Nothing special. You light it after the baby sleeps, after he sleeps, after the world stops asking. Just for a little quiet, just for a little you. You sit by the window. The moon is late. The room is still. The candle flickers, soft, warm, yours. You hold your cup with both hands. Let the heat settle in your bones. Breathe slower. Let your thoughts wander, not far, just far enough. You don't think of names or chores or bleeding. You just think, and that feels rare now. Then you notice the candle's lower, too low, too soon. You check the base. It's melting fast, dripping down the iron holder like it's in a hurry. You frown, not because the candle's dying, but because the moment is. You try to stretch time, drink slower, blink less, hold your breath between sips, but the wax doesn't care. It burns anyway. By the time you finish your tea, the room is dim again. The wick flickers, curls in on itself, gone. You sit in darkness, not afraid, not exactly, just aware that even your quiet, your tiny private piece of night has a limit. They say candles are simple things, but this one whispered what no one else dared say. You don't get to keep the flame, only the smoke it leaves behind. You're alone, truly alone. The fire's low, the baby sleeps, the house is still. Even the mice seem quiet tonight. You sit at the edge of the bed, feet cold, hands still, eyes on the cradle. You're not sad, not angry, not even tired, just open, like a page turned too far. And then it comes, that thought, the one that's waited, curled up in the corner of your ribs, sleeping until now. If I had a choice, you whisper to no one. Just that, not even a full sentence, not yet. The air shifts, like the house heard you, held its breath. You stare ahead, try to find the next words. Would I have said yes? You almost ask, but your mouth closes, fast, sharp, like a door slammed in a storm. You swallow it, hard, because questions like that don't get answered. They echo and echo and echo. You stand, check the baby, fold the blanket, blow out the lamp, and climb into bed like you didn't almost say something dangerous. Tomorrow you'll wake, bake, boil water, smile, and the thought, it'll still be there, smaller, quieter, but never gone. It's not a fancy mirror, just glass, framed in dark wood, hung a little crooked, but it used to matter. You'd tilt your chin, adjust your braid, smile to see if it still worked. Back then, the face was yours, familiar, curious, alive. Now, you glance as you pass, but rarely stop, rarely look, rarely ask. One day you do stop, not for vanity, just curiosity or memory. You face it, head on, the eyes look back. Same shape, same color, but duller, tired, like they've seen too much without being allowed to speak of it. The mouth isn't smiling, not frowning either, just set, like it's learned silence as its resting shape. You reach up, touch your cheek. It's warmer than it looks, more real than it feels. You whisper your name, not mother, not wife, your own name. It sounds strange, like something borrowed from someone else's story. You wait to recognize her, the woman in the glass. You squint, tilt your head, try to summon the girl you once were, but she's gone, or hiding, or watching from behind the glass without stepping forward. You wipe the surface, just dust, no magic, still the same face. Still not yours. You cover the mirror, not out of fear, out of fatigue, because some days it's easier to forget who you were than to mourn who you're not anymore. She comes in a dream, barefoot, hair undone, eyes too bright for the room she steps into. You know her, not by name, but by posture, by the way she moves without apology. She doesn't speak, just walks around your kitchen, touches the cradle, tilts her head at the fire, then looks at you and waits. You want to explain everything, the marriage, the baby, the silence. But she doesn't ask, she just watches, as if to say, this is what we became. You shrink a little, feel the weight of every choice you didn't really make. She picks up your shawl, sniffs it, frowns, then walks to the door, opens it, light floods in. She leaves, without goodbye, without anger, without blessing. You wake up cold, the candle's out, the cradle's still. Your chest feels hollow, like she took something with her, or left something behind. You whisper, I'm sorry, to no one. You wake up with a full voice, but leave it folded beneath the covers. The baby coos. You nod. He smiles. You smile back. Still, you say nothing. Your husband asks about bread. You point. He grunts. Leaves. Still, no sound. You move through the house like breath. Present, but weightless. You hum a song. In your head, not aloud. Even your thoughts sound softer today. The neighbors pass. Wave. You lift a hand. Keep walking. They don't notice you haven't spoken. Maybe they never do. By nightfall, your throat aches, not from use, but from holding in too much. You whisper one word alone in the dark, your name, just to make sure you're still here. At first, you think he's sleeping, deeply, peacefully. You sip your broth. Let yourself rest. Then time stretches. 5 minutes, 10, 15. No sigh, no shift, no sound. Your body moves before your mind does. You're kneeling, hands shaking, one breath away from breaking. You reach in, touch his chest. Wait. There. A flutter, small, real. Relief floods too fast. It burns. You hold him too tight. He wakes, wails. You cry too, but not from fear anymore, from knowing how much it would hurt if the silence had stayed. Chapter 34. The first time he reaches for you. Kibante no be I timem. Vahong tim I catch your hanging laundry. Wind in your hair, sun on your neck. He's in the basket, kicking, babbling. Then it happens. A tiny hand reaching up, toward you. Not the sky, not the air. You. Your breath catches. You kneel. He grabs your finger, tight, as if he's saying, I know who you are. Not milk, not warmth, not rhythm. You. Not much, not a word, not a smile. Just touch. Real. Wanting. And for once, you let yourself believe. Maybe you're more than a name that got lost in someone else's story. It starts as a hum, low, wavering. You're rocking him. He won't sleep. Neither will you. You try a rhythm, a lullaby from childhood, one your mother sang, or maybe your sister. You don't remember the words, but your mouth does. It's off-key, too slow, almost broken. But he quiets, eyes blinking heavy, body softening. You keep singing, not for him now, for you, because something in your chest unfolds with every note. When he sleeps, you don't stop. You sing to the fire, to the walls, to the silence, and the house finally listens. he asks. Simple, routine. Can you wash the cloaks today? You look at the pile, the weather, the baby. You look at him, and you say, no. Not harsh, not bitter, not even loud. Just clear, firm, real. He blinks, waits. You don't explain. You don't soften it. You let the word hang, and for once, no one cuts it down. You feel it after, in your bones, in your breath. The way a spine straightens once it remembers it's allowed to exist. No war follows, no storm, just a quiet kind of power that tastes like warm bread, and finally taking the first bite for yourself. There's a crack in the wall, near the stove, thin, almost pretty. You've patched it before, twice, maybe 3 times. Today you look at it and leave it. He mentions it. You nod, but do nothing. Because not everything needs mending just because it's broken. Sometimes a crack says, I've held through worse. And that's enough. You write it one evening, by candlelight, when the house is still, to no one, or maybe to yourself. You don't write about pain, or blame, or dreams. You write about silence, about small joys, about the softness that still lives in you. It fills 3 pages, not rushed, not planned, just poured. You fold it, tie it with thread, set it on the table, and in the morning you burn it, deliberately, slowly, because some truths aren't meant to be sent, only said, even if no one hears, not for long, not because you had to, just because you chose to. You didn't hold the baby, didn't stir the stew, didn't count the hours or recite the tasks. You sat, hands open, feet bare, mind quiet. The window was open. The breeze smelled like apples. The sun touched your face like it remembered you. You didn't cry, didn't smile, didn't speak. You just were. And for a moment, that was enough. You forgot birthdays. You forgot songs. You forgot faces of girls you once loved like sisters. You forgot what day the bleeding returned. You forgot how many teeth the baby had when he first bit your finger. You forgot the name of the priest, the midwife, even the color of the dress from your wedding. But one thing stayed, how it felt the day you found your voice again. Not loud, not heroic, just yours. You remember the warmth in your chest, the weight in your mouth, the way no tasted like honey after a lifetime of salt. You don't remember every pain, only the shape they left behind and how you grew around them. Not away, around. You never forgot that even if no one noticed, you were there, fully, softly, unapologetically there.